This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans, of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show!
It's time for the show.
Flexing. It's time for the gun show.
You
bang,
got it all.
Bang, 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 bang.
Hey, don't make me send the Humane Society down there to wrangle those wild pythons.
Oh, fantastic. This is the kind of stuff that happens when we don't do a show for 2 weeks because I had an audition and then I had to do a major presentation at work last week. But we're back now, baby, and it's the gun show. The pythons are out. Everything's out. Hi, I'm Kenny Stevenson.
Hi, I'm Alex Enriquez, experiencing a similar pause in real life, thus allowing the time to come to you and talk our nonsense.
We are talking so much nonsense, and I'm glad that you are broadcasting from what I can only assume is a sex dungeon.
It is the sex dungeon, but it is the sex dungeon underneath a haunted movie theater. So there's like 2 or 3 themes running. I told the guy in the, by the way, the guy at the entrance like has the little red cap and the little red jacket, and then waist down, it's a horror show. And I said, this right here, the start of your problems. And but we're making do. Me and the wife, we're making do.
We're making do. Welcome to Fan Controlled Fandom.
Hi.
Hi. This is, first of all, I was distracted. Is the air conditioning too loud in my place? Is it making a difference?
You know what? I don't care as long as you're cool. That's basically where I'm
I gotta
at.
tell you what, if you're not, I know that there's a lot of people who are all over the world where temperature is a thing, but good Lord, it is like, how can I best describe it? The surface area of the sun in LA right now. It's absolutely atrocious. And I live in Culver City. I'm only like 3 miles away from the ocean. It's still like 97 degrees. That's saying something.
I asked about if the AC got all the way down into the sex dungeon beneath the haunted movie theater, and the bellhop guy said, that far down, you won't need to worry about it. So I hope that's something.
That is something. And you know what else is something? Where we are right now, because we are in the Cape space. That's where we are straight. Ooh. And we are talking about superheroes who wear capes. We're talking about people who fly, TIE fighters, they wear capes. People who are like elven people on horses, you better effing believe they got a cape on, baby. That's what we're talking about.
I've been on top of a horse before. I wouldn't say I've ridden a horse, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah, I've done the slow walk to up to the Hollywood sign on a horse. I
haven't even done that. I mean, I've done sit on it while it's chained to the thing that goes around a circle. You realize later is terribly inhumane. But I just hope that the first time I get to be on a horse that's going at a full gallop, I've got a cape on, because that is a look. It's a choice. It's an era. I'm in my galloping horse cape era.
You are in it. This is your section of the eras tour. This is your folklore.
Just everybody goes quiet, and I gallop across the stage on a horse, full blast, with a cape string behind me. Everybody goes,
complex.
Who is that?
I could be cool. You could just sing in Taylor Swift the whole way.
At one stop, one person goes, "Was that the guy from Jury Duty?" But that's it.
Yeah, the guy who jerked off to Pacific Rim 2. We gotta get to the quick pieces of nerd news, and we gotta play this violent stinger.
That's how you get revved up for a damn weekend. I don't care where you are.
I don't care if you are someplace where it is already the weekend, like Australia, Japan, where we're like 16 hours ahead. That's still going to get you hyped, baby.
I don't care if you are the weekend.
Right? The weekend, spelled without vowels, baby.
You will hear that and go, make another 50 Shades of Grey that I can make a song to, because this thing got my blood pumping.
Don't make any more of those. Did you know that the 50
Just
Shades
one more.
Do you know the 50 Shades of Grey the 50 Shades of Grey movie was originally Twilight fan fiction?
I did know this. Yes.
Absolutely incredible stuff.
As much as I have heard, regurgitated that fact, and even looked into it a little bit. Like I've read articles about what constitutes that thing, because my peripheral viewpoint of that series is like there's no connection, and none of the articles I read made it any clearer how this, other than domineering pervert innocent girl is that basically.
That's Twilight. That's all Twilight is. That's it. He's a dom, she's a submissive, all that stuff. But let's talk about what's happening in the world of nerd news at the moment. Before we get kicked off of Twitch. The biggest news is not quite news yet, but to me, like, leaking this news, to me, kind of feels like, hey, public, what do you think of this? Which is apparently Thanos himself, Josh Brolin, has been offered the role of Hal Jordan in the DCU, James Gunn DC Universe Green Lantern television show. Now, this is not the same Green Lantern that Nathan Fillion is playing, yes or no?
No. Well, no. These are different characters who are members of the same team.
Yeah, because which one is Nathan Fillion? He is...
he's playing Guy Gardner, who at certain points in the canon, when the Ring is searching Earth for somebody without fear, it goes to him first, but he is in a coma. So it passes him and goes to fearless test pilot Hal Jordan. And then, yeah, I actually, can I bring up a deeper point here?
Please.
So somebody
Alex,
online...
go deep.
Oh, that's what she's never said.
Hey-o.
So somebody online posited that this is a signal to James Gunn's general approach to this DC universe, that it will be a lived-in universe that has, at some level, multi-generational heroes, where you have Hal Jordan, who's like the most established Green Lantern, and then a Guy Gardner who's floating around too and is part of it. But the main focus and the Green Lantern that you will see most developed is the newest one, who is John Stewart. And that there will be similar multi-generational names.
The character, not the host of the one time of the week host of the Daily Show.
Right. Not our favorite stick it to him, wag a finger in a politician's face, but a similarly hot button political figure in his time, John Stewart, who in Green Lantern, Green Arrow series from the 70s by Neil Adams, and Dennis O'Neil, he got in Hal Jordan's face and was like, man, I read these stories about you flying all over the place and helping all these different colors of people all around the universe. What about here and the black man?
Let's tell him what's up. Speak to it.
And then, over time, we're now 50 years into John Stewart's presence as a Green Lantern in DC continuities. At certain turns, the main Green Lantern of Earth, of our sector. He's a veteran. That always factors into how he approaches things. I'm very interested to see how this single piece of IP kind of signals a bigger approach that may be how James Gunn sold his vision to the higher ups at Warner, to sell like a broad-based reset of this whole thing that he's the captain of.
In case you don't know, Alex, who is your favorite DC character?
I think Green Lantern is my favorite DC character.
In case you couldn't tell.
Somebody on.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I would just say, well, as somebody who loves Green Lantern, what do you think of the casting choice of Josh Brolin to play Hal Jordan?
I think it's really good. I think that there's so much about Hal Jordan that needs to be defined by the actor playing him, because there is somewhat of a blank slate with that character. That I think he's somebody that people misapproach. But even in comics, they tend to overplay how fearless and just think about willpower and at least being kind of a jerk or whatever. This, by the way, I just thought of this most quickly. This would be a return.
Hold on, your audio just got weird. Like you just started going.
How about now?
There you go. There it is, right back.
So Josh Brolin's returning to the DC universe, first as Jonah Hex, now as
Jonah Hex, great film,
as Green Lantern. Nathan Fillion played Hal Jordan in the DC universe, animated universe, and now is, I would say, a downgrade to Guy Gardner. But this is how broad the Hal Jordan characterization is. It's like, I think that if you said either of those names as Hal Jordan, Nathan Fillion or Josh Brolin, I would be equally excited to see them equally as fit or whatever. I think that this is something that needs to be a sort of Wolverine thing where the actor becomes just indisputably linked to the character and defines it in a way.
Here's what I'll say about Josh Brolin. I mean, Josh Brolin's a wonderful actor. I think he brings a real, like, grizzledness to Hal Jordan, a character that on its face is just utterly silly, but, like, really super grounded, like, was amazing as Thanos. The one thing I will say about this choice is I don't think it's possible for it to be like a Wolverine type casting because he's like 55, 56 years old. So he's not like, he can't play this role for 20 years. Otherwise it'll be really interesting to see like 70 something year old Josh Brolin being like, flame on. Whatever.
No, cut. Josh, again, you don't really have a sort of a you have a whole oath that you have to say to recharge your ring, but you definitely don't say flame on.
I got it. Here we go.
Okay.
Take two.
Remember, in Brightest
I
Day,
am inevitable.
Okay, that's not. Let's cut. We're gonna take 5.
Dune. Gurney Halleck.
Yeah, put down the Mandalorian. Quinn or whatever that instrument is. I think I only mean this in terms of how, like, I brought this up in the Deadpool Wolverine review that we did, that like Hugh Jackman is inseparably linked at a certain level to a perception of the character, and that Josh Brolin will have to do that same thing.
Oh, like that I agree with. Yeah,
the perception will have to bend to him in order to define who that character is. And I think that he's a big star. Like you said, he's at a certain age. They already have these other characters lined up in that same universe. They can kind of use him sparingly. And I think that might be the approach they take with the Batman family of characters. You might see more Nightwing with a lower level star than you do the huge star playing Batman.
The Warner Brothers universe of Batman characters.
The Warner Brothers Discovery universe of DC characters in the Batman family, brought to you by AT&T Shark Week. Shark Week, bite into it. That's the official title of the DCU. That's the official
title of the DCU, sponsored by the AT&T Cotton Bowl. This year's the NCAA Football Championship.
American Telephone and Telesys?
I'm very pissed off at AT&T currently about my own bill.
You're a customer. Gotcha.
I'm not just a customer. I'm not just a member. I'm also a client. Let's talk more casting, actual casting that's going to happen. We briefly teased the fact that it seems like this Masters of the Universe movie is happening. I don't want to jinx anything, but it seems like it's happening. Like, there's been we've talked about in the past, so there was one at Sony that fell through. There was one at Netflix that fell through, but Prime Video is like ramping up hard, and we'll talk about that when we talk about Rings of Power. They like to throw their money around, but it's apparently happening, and they've already cast their He-Man. I forget his last name, but he was in that. Speaking of fan fiction, he was just in that Anne Hathaway rom-com that apparently was Harry Styles fan fiction, and they just cast Evil Lynn, the perennial bad guy, not one of them, but like she's like Skeletor's, like, I mean, let's be real, it's the 80s, so she's like Skeletor's secretary, but I'm sure they'll pump up the character a little bit of Evil Lynn, and they cast Alison Brie. Do you know her from Community, from Glow?
Big fan.
I would say, especially off her work in Glow, I think that's because, I mean, I hope they don't put her in the same damn outfit, which is like, take a wild guess what a woman is wearing in the 1980s in comic book and or animated stuff, which is basically like, I don't know, floss over your boobs and like a little tiny triangle around the bottom area. Like it's just in a bathing suit, basically.
On another kind of, another note of how limiting things can be, do you think if you're born Evil Lynn, you go, yeah, I mean, I guess I got to work for Skeletor. I don't know.
Oh, for sure. I don't have a lot of options.
on site, if I go to Grayskull with my resume and they see Evelyn, they're like, I'm not. They maybe interview me as a courtesy, or that like Man at Arms doesn't, log an HR complaint, but you're definitely not getting the gig. So you've got like skeleton. I call it the Sinestro conundrum. Like what are you gonna do? My name's Sinestro. I have this little pointy beard. I'm the color of evil. Like I guess I'll just be evil.
I have no choice in the matter. But no, I do. This is a character that is very much like stands behind Skeletor and goes like, aha. But she does because Skeletor really isn't like what you would call he's more like a floor general. Like, you go over there and do this. I'm gonna stay back at in our lair and like cackle and draw up plans, but you're going to go off and tempt, take the form of something else and tempt that person and bring them in and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I think Alison Brie is a fun casting choice. Why not? Let's do it.
She's a fantastic performer on many levels, in the sense that like if this at all approaches any irony, she will be able to do that very, very capably, because she's an insanely funny person. But also, with regard to Skeletor, he is a man of contradiction, very fool on the very beginning of it. Skeleton but buff. Come on, talk about it.
You know what? Let's talk about it, because it is skeleton head up top, but especially and by the way, I just want to say real quick, Evil Lynn didn't have a lot of clothes on, but like neither did He-Man, so that is kind of a balance. He-Man is rolling around with just basically like a fur pelt, and questionable what's underneath it. I'm assuming it's because it's prehistoric time ish. I don't know, medieval times. He's just flopping around out there, I think.
I actually looked. It's a couple of ball joints joined by a rubber band. You can twist them around pretty good, make him like do a weird funky kick. Remember?
I do. But no, let's talk. Yeah. So like Skeletor's like a skeleton head up top.
Yeah.
But like ripped, just like HGH, no problem. He's definitely on steroids. Where are those muscles coming from? Why can't those muscles be applied to your face?
Yo, Skeletor, you natty? You natty, bro?
Come on, bro.
He's on that trend. Can you say that? Can we reference anabolic steroids?
Anabolic steroids have got that riz. It's all good.
We are on a sports and entertainment network. We're dancing. We're dancing.
Touché. And on that note, did you by any chance see the trailer for this Minecraft movie?
I know
did. You did see the trailer.
I did watch it.
This is kind of like, I don't quite know what to think about it, because it just seems like Jack Black is playing himself, and then it looks like Jason Momoa at times, and I just watch it again. It sounds like he's trying to do a Jack Black impression. The movie is directed by Jared Hess, who directed
Gentlemen Broncos,
Napoleon Dynamite,
Nacho Libre.
And it's just like, we got a synopsis for the movie. Welcome to the world of Minecraft, where creativity doesn't just help you craft, it's essential to one's survival. 4 misfits, Garrett the Garbage Man Garrison, Henry, that's Momoa. Henry is a Kid Hansen. Natalie, which is Emma Myers from Wednesday. She's like the person who Wednesday shares a room with. And then Dawn, played by Danielle Brooks from The Color Purple. She was nominated for an Academy Award, but also from Peacemaker. Find themselves struggling with ordinary problems. They're suddenly pulled through a mysterious portal into the overworld. I mean, just like I don't know, man. Like, I know we've talked about in the past, like, they've done a good job of kind of making these movies that are based on games kind of work lately, but this just seems like we're just like dropping people in the game and going like, what's that? Like, that's all we got so far. You know what I mean?
I do, and I think that I can get on board with how it seems. Of course, we'll have to reserve judgment for when it comes out, but it's funny that we dovetailed this with He-Man news, because remember the first swipe at He-Man, which was everything but honest to its genetic code.
Yeah.
It had to be because I mean, you look 20 years after that, they still couldn't make an X-Men with characters that seemed or were like or looked like the ones from the comics because there was no tolerance for it.
Even though they referred to them all by their like Guga names, but no, we can't put him in a Guga suit. But continue.
But then now we're in an era where things, and even in the video game sphere, the first attempt at Mario Brothers was
terrible
a
film.
He-Man nightmare. But now, at the very least, we can have these projects that are honest to that get to be honest to, and whatever failing attempt it might be, they get to be honest to the source material. They get to be honest to the thing that makes the originating thing special. I think you get that with the Lego movie is kind of the bellwether of that whole movement. That there's tolerance in the market for a movie that takes a nebulous concept and allows it to be nebulous. That plays into the strength.
We'll see.
Consider the two Dungeons and Dragons movies.
Yeah, consider the lilies. It's a great point. The two Dungeons and Dragons movie. Dungeons and Dragons was excellent. I think like this feels like it wants to be more like the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which totally cool. Like that's what you want to do. But I think just from the first trailer, the tone doesn't seem like they're hitting it hard enough for me. But I don't know. It's a trailer. Who the hell knows?
I mean, Jared Hess, Jack Black, and it's Danielle Brooks is her name?
Yep.
I was very pleased to see her there because I was like, okay, cool. I think she's one of the people that there's a kind of a new generation of performer that's in these sort of projects that I find very easy to see through the eyes of. They make it very easy to identify with. Like in Peacemaker, she made it really easy to identify with how bonkers the world was. In a very capable way, but she's our lens.
Yep, I don't know. We'll see. There's another movie that we learned about this week that is one of these movies that we can't believe is happening, but it's happening, and it's happening very soon, actually. Which is another Jurassic World movie. We got images released this week. We got like a plot synopsis. What?
And by the way, it might as well have been pictures of the cast holding that day's newspaper because it's basically just proof of life of the production.
100%.
None of the stuff that people actually give a poopy doodle about that, like no dinosaurs, no whatever. No. It's just like, there's Scarlet. We see we're doing it. We're actually doing it.
Hey, look, it's the guy from Bridgerton. And oh my gosh, there's Mahershala Ali yelling. I will say we got some sort of a plot synopsis, which is it takes place 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion. The planet's ecology has proven largely inhospitable to dinosaurs. Those remaining exist in isolation, in isolated equatorial environments with blah, blah, blah. The three most colossal creatures within that tropical biosphere hold the key to a drug that will bring miraculous life-saving benefits to humankind. I'm already out. That sounds terrible. The director is David Leitch, who directed the Fast and Furious spin-off Hobbs and Shaw, which is a legitimately good movie. He also worked with Universal on The Fall Guy, was about to be released when they started talking to him about making their latest dinosaur movie. I believe he also worked on Bullet Train, which is a rad movie. So I don't know, man. I can't quite get my brain around why we're doing it. I know like financially why we're doing it. I just think creatively it's just silly, and like Johansson is saying like I'm an enormous Jurassic Park fan. That's why she's doing it. The script is so incredible, which is like Hollywood speak for they dropped a ton of money in front of my ass.
Like, doesn't somebody in the first movie say you kept being focused on can that you never focused on should? That like these Jurassic Park movies are a tale about Jurassic Park and why like the fact that they keep making these movies are approaching the same themes that the first book was about, like God complex, science out of control or whatever. Like it's gone mad, and like everything's gone wrong because the first movie, the dinosaurs were the why. It was all about just how, and that was all novel, cool, and everything else has just been why dinosaurs. Like that you don't have something compelling enough that the dinosaurs are just compelling. You have to have a why every time. And I'm sure that they go, we're done with Jurassic Park movies, and there's always an asterisk, and it's like until somebody comes up with a good enough why, and we can go,
It's just the thing I find fascinating about this whole thing is how it was over. The Jurassic World Dominion was basically told to us as this is the second trilogy. There's now 2 trilogies. The cycle is complete, and then they just very quickly in what I don't see is like demand. It's not like Dominion was like, holy crap, this made a ton of money. I guess we got to keep making more of these. You know what I mean? Like it was like fine.
Right.
It did fine. Anyway, I don't want to talk more about Jurassic Park.
But and can I just we're in that universe. We're 30 years after they were able to clone dinosaurs. The last series of movies, they can just clone them, mix them up with jellyfish, secret auction. They
Sell them
can't
on the
just
black
make,
market.
They can't just make the cancer stuff. They got to mine it from an Apatosaurus.
Yeah.
Come on. I by the way, Universal, I just thought about this for 12 seconds. You're welcome. Thank you. I'm just down the hill from you right now. Send a helicopter.
Send it over. We're on the Fan Controlled Sports Entertainment Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, I don't know, X, whatever. And we've been giving you so much of the entertainment. Now we got to give you one piece of sports news.
A little piece
Alex,
of S.
a little piece of S. Alex, silly season is over. That's the S I was talking about. Let's get back out on the track, right?
We're back to the track, but unfortunately another mini silly season after 2 back-to-back races, during which Haas driver Kevin Magnussen received the first race ban handed out to a driver in 12 years. He's not going to be able to participate in the upcoming, I believe, Hungarian Grand Prix. And now Ferrari stable young driver Ollie Behrman, who replaced Carlos Sainz in his Ferrari earlier in the season, will be racing that one race for Haas in Kevin Magnussen's seat. And that makes him the first driver since 2007 to race for two different seats in the same season, since Sebastian Vettel did it for BMW and Toro Rosso in 2007. Kenny, back to you.
Oh man, it's just to me it's just the opening VO of Anthony Hopkins before Rebel Moon Part 2. I'm just like, what?
I'm really not sure any of what
happened?
I said made sense. I lost track about midway through, and I tasted a lot of copper in my mouth, I'll tell you.
I love it. All right, I want to give for my piece. I want to give an absolutely massive shout out to the Paralympics.
Hell yeah.
I love the Olympics, but I also find the Olympics to be incredibly problematic because of what they do to local communities, unhoused communities. The person who is currently in charge of LA 2028 is this guy named Casey Wasserman, who has like literally been on airplanes with Jeffrey Epstein. And but the Paralympics is absolutely wonderful, and I want to highlight the women's sitting volleyball team that is going to be playing for gold. I don't know if they already played today or if it's this weekend, but all of these sports these athletes are incredible. So sitting volleyball, these are people who either they can't stand consistently, whether they've got some sort of serious back injury, they're missing a limb, they've had a stroke, and they're literally sitting and playing volleyball, and they are doing all the stuff. They are serving, bumping, spiking. Then I watched yesterday blind soccer. It is, these people literally cannot see, and they're playing soccer. They have the crowds have to be quieted. So all the crowds have to be quiet so they can hear their coach, and a guy sits next to the goal and bangs on it so they know where the goal is at all times. It's
and
just
by the way,
stuff.
crowds. These are very well attended.
Huge,
games. The
yes.
games are. I watched some badminton highlights from the
incredible
Paralympics,
stuff,
and
man.
these are insane crowds. And by the way, we're talking about if you like sport, if you like competition, you are quite literally watching these like fierce competition between like insanely talented athletes. And you're adding new dimensions to the sport sometimes. Like, you know, it's interesting, at least on the visual level, to watch this level of competition. It like, and just, yeah, at this state. I mean, like, again, the badminton's fun to watch regardless.
It is.
In the Paralympics, there's a whole new dimension to the state of play. It's like crazy. It's great.
It's really, really great. I just want to shout out all of those athletes all over the world who are, you know, who bust their ass, and this is their dream, and this is their opportunity. And I feel like it's very easy to just like shut off when like you've watched the one, like you become a lot of people become like swimming experts for a week and then go back to their lives, or become like I know everything about gymnastics, but it's like there's full track and field competitions. There are full swimming competitions. It's just incredible stuff. Check it out. I love it. Alex, you know what else is all incredible stuff is the work that you do week in and week out for our corporate sponsors. Alex, who is our corporate sponsor for the week?
Well, it's a big surprise to see this name come across the door.
Is it? I think it is.
No, I don't think you know who I'm talking about, but it is. It's Steve Winwood, the blue-eyed soul singer from the 60s and 70s, and he wants you to know about the Steve Winwood's Higher Love Ministries. Yes, Steve Winwood, lead singer of the Spencer Davis Group, where once there were smooth synth sounds in his heart, there is now our one and only Lord and Savior, writer and singer of I'm a Man, now venerates just one man, the one perfect man and King of Kings. For lo, there would come a man to ask the question of all questions. Think about it. There must be higher love. So that's Steve Winwood's Higher Love Ministries. He's sponsoring the ad breaks in this week's episode of Fandom.
What a fascinating thing for him to be sponsoring. But hey, we'll take wherever the ad revenue comes from. We'll take it.
Yeah, he's just trying to help the Lord. I think that's what he said.
So let's get ourselves into another plane. Let's transport ourselves. We've been where you people are always like, oh, you're always just talking about Marvel and Star Wars, but we're not talking about Marvel and Star Wars. We are going deep into the appendices of the Lord of the Rings. That's what Apple owns. Or sorry, Prime. Prime does not own the Lord of the Rings trilogy or The Hobbit. Warner Brothers does. Prime specifically, and they don't even own the Silmarillion. I believe just that Prime specifically owns just the appendices, and that's what this television show Rings of Power is based on. We are going to be talking about the first 2 episodes. There are 4 episodes out, but it's hard for us to crush 4 episodes in 9 days.
There's only so much Grendel and all that I can really imbibe at this point in my life.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here for all of it. All right, let's do real quick. I got some shorter recaps here. So we're doing episodes.
I'm gonna close my eyes.
1 and 2 from season 2. Episode 1, 11 Kings Under the Sky, directed by Charlotte Brandstrom, written by Jennifer Hutchinson. At the dawn of Second Age, the Dark Lord Sauron is seemingly killed by an army of orcs as their leader, Adar, but his spirit endures and forms a new body via venom. Taking the name Halbrand, he helps the elves forge 3 rings of power before his identity is revealed. High King Gil-galad believes they have no choice but to use the rings against Sauron, while his herald Elrond objects. Elrond escapes with the rings and takes them to Círdan, the oldest and wisest elf in Middle-earth, who agrees to help until he sees the rings and believes them to be true perfection, baby. Círdan, Galadriel, and Gil-galad put them on, and power of the elves is restored. The stranger, a wizard who is regaining his memories, that name probably rhymes with Mandolf, and the Harfoot Nori Brandyfoot get lost on their way to the land of Rune. They are followed by Nori's friend, Poppy, great name, Proudfellow, who brings Harfoot maps to help them find their way. In Mordor, Halbrand is brought to Adar and reveals that Sauron has returned. He offers to go to Eregion, the Elven realm where the rings were forged, while Adar raises his army to attack Sauron. That's the first episode. Episode 2, Where the Stars Are Strange, directed by Charlotte Brandstrom, Louise Hooper, written by Jason Cahill. The ongoing eruption of Mount Doom causes an earthquake in the dwarven realm of Khazad-dûm that destroys their infrastructure and leads to the withering of their crops. King Durin III and his son, Prince Durin IV, refuse to reconcile despite the crisis. Galadriel has a vision of Celebrimor's death and asks to go to Eregion. Whew. Gil-galad agrees if Elrond leads her company, and Círdan convinces the reluctant Elrond that it would be better for him to guide his friends rather than abandon them. In Rhûn, a dark wizard sends a group of riders to capture the stranger. Finding a staff that he recognizes from his dreams, pulls a full "you shall not pass," and he summons a sandstorm which drives the riders off. He loses control of the storm, sweeps Nori and Poppy away. Sauron poses as Halbrand at the gates of Eregion and refuses to leave. Though he promised Galadriel he would never talk to Halbrand again, Celebrimbor does not know he is Sauron and eventually approaches him. Halbrand convinces Celebrimbor that he is Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, an emissary from the Valar who has come to help make the Rings of Power for dwarves and men. Alex, what do you think of these episodes?
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I don't know why I find this insists upon itself, Kenny, and that's maybe why I have the biggest problem with it.
You have a big problem with it. Oh, this is very rare. I loved it.
It's like it's hard because I'm gonna watch it. At a certain point I like it, but it's also like there's a cynicism to it. I cannot help but think back to kind of what started all of this. The only reason we have this show is the Lord of the Rings trilogy from 25 years ago.
That's kind of something what I want to talk about as well, but go ahead.
And I have a whole big thing on this. Can I go long? Or deep,
yeah, sure.
Rather.
Yeah, do what you got to do, man.
Okay, so the whole reason that we have this TV show is not because everybody out there is clamoring for adaptations of the Lord of the Rings. It's because there's this IP value to it that is imbued in the whole thing by Peter Jackson's original trilogy. The value that he basically lightning struck and charged the IP up with all comes from the fact that he pulled off an impossibility. Lord of the Rings was the gold standard for billion-dollar IP that had yet to be adapted, but that much depth, how you approach that much depth and still make it compelling and still make it crossover appeal and actually produce it and do it for cost and make money, all that, he came up with the secret formula, and all of it done with a renegade spirit of, I guess, he's a no-name. It's a fifth level studio doing the whole thing. Shoot them all at once in New Zealand. You make your little rebellious team out there, and that is injected into literally everything else. I call it the dream frequency.
Ooh.
It's
This is part of your dissertation?
This is the big dissertation. It's when you can watch, like, if you watch the Disney Plus Hamilton, you can kind of see Lin-Manuel Miranda doing it, but it's like when all of these different things come together at once that could never have been bought or sold, that makes all of the money kind of move to the side and let it happen, or make mistakes that facilitate it. In the case of 20th Century Fox letting George Lucas own all of Star Wars, like, the specialness just makes things happen. And when you try and wring that specialness out of anything else going forward, The Hobbit, The Rings of Power, Ghostbusters with all of the funny women in it, like, it just isn't gonna, you're gonna miss. It's not gonna feel like the thing.
It's like what we were just talking about with Jurassic World. I think you're making a lot of, like, salient points. You like how I said that? We're so adult on this right now.
Thank you.
And it's something that occurred to me about partway through episode 2. It occurred to me when I watched the first episode, because the first thing that comes up is says, based on the appendices from Lord of the Rings. Now, if you don't know, I think I have it. It's nearby. The appendices is quite long. It is like 100-something pages. I think the appendices is almost as long as The Hobbit, and they tried to make 3 fucking pardon my French, movies out of that. And
that's our first violation of the terms of service, baby.
Way too much. But There was a couple of times where I was watching, and I guess, here's what I'll say. I'm kind of dancing around what I want to say, but I'll say this. I enjoy it. I enjoy, like, the amount of effort that is being put in to create this show. I like the casting. I think the woman playing Galadriel is wonderful. I like being in this world. I like this because it's hard. I remember the first season came out almost the same time of House of the Dragon, and clearly this first episode wanted to be like gory, like House of the Dragon, but it's somewhat refreshing watching this world compared to Westeros, because Westeros is like on HBO and it's like, hey, look, we're showing dicks, but like Rings of Power is like House of the Dragon literally shows somebody giving a BJ this season, which is like, come on. Like, I mean, I get it. We're in a brothel. I don't need to like try. You don't need to like find something to do to drive that home.
Kenny.
Yeah.
More like House of the Gaggin', am I right?
Hey, right. Hey, we're being ripped off this whole platform. So there is something about this world that I genuinely appreciate so much. However, and I enjoy this show. I thought the episodes were entertaining, well paced, well directed. I thoroughly enjoyed it. However, I will say this to kind of off of your point. The show in general has a why issue. Like, we know why we're doing it. The why is because Prime paid a bunch of money to buy this thing so they could have IP. Like, that's why on paper. But I'm also talking too about story-wise. Like, there's a thing that, and sorry, I'm kind of cooking here for a minute if you don't mind. Is that all right?
Please, go deep.
There's a thing that the Lord of the Rings, like Tolkien and this world is known for, whether both the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, which is like a journey. Like, that's what it's about. And it's like, it's not just the friends you make along the way. It is also like literally a journey in the Lord of the Rings and in the Hobbit. But there is like the what of what we're going to is very clear. Like Lord of the Rings, we got to take this ring, we got to put it in the pit of fire in Mordor, and we got to destroy it. And the Hobbit is, there's a dragon, we got to go find this dragon, we got to kill this dragon. It's very clear, you know what I mean? This show, the what is kind of like, hey, you get it, right? Like, eventually there's going to be one ring to rule them all, right? But we're just not saying it. And so we're making all these rings, and the rings have all this power, but eventually they're going to be like, whatever, like smelted into one. And eventually this guy's going to be Gandalf. And it's like all these things are like unsaid. And it's like, well, what are we doing? Like, why, you know what I mean? Like, why are we doing this narratively? That's my one kind of like conceit about the show that in terms of like world building. But that's like, I don't know. I still thoroughly enjoy it, but yes, it's just like, there's a real, like, we need to have a little bit more of like like that's what it's known for. The unexpected journey. That's what The Hobbit is called.
I should be thinking about, plot implications or how this feeds back up to the Lord of the Rings. Instead, I'm sitting here going, well, they probably know how many episodes of this show they need to make the investment into the IP worth it, or to to make Amazon Entertainment or Prime Video as a vertical look good within the company. And they know that they have to drag these reveals out we can't use the name Gandalf until episode 3, season 4. But it's like, I'll tell you what,
if it goes that long, I don't know, man. Like, we're like literally in the first episode of this season, he like is grabbing a staff and it looks like his staff. I'm just like, so yeah, like that's just like my thing is like it's
mechanical.
It's not mechanical. It's just you can see the studio strings too easily. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. I'm saying the same thing. Like that. It's a beautiful watch face, but I'm seeing way too many cogs and stuff. Like I'm very cognizant of the mechanism behind this. The specialness, the renegade spirit that used to endow this thing and make it special is not there.
Such bold statements. I love it. But you know what? It's a good point. I will say one more thing on this, and then I do want to talk about like other things in it. But like the other thing I will say, like if I had a criticism, is that like I don't quite know, like I don't want to say tonally, but like visually, I kind of wish it would say whether is this the same world that Peter Jackson created, or is this like another take on it? Because it looks like 75% yes.
Right.
But straight down to like the elven world looks very much the same, even though it is a different land. It's just like it's just like it. Yeah, it's the same thing. We can see the strings.
The behind the scenes of that specifically is that Peter Jackson hired to design his world the two guys who had been drawing Middle Earth like semi-officially for like 30 years before that. I think one of the guys' names like Brian Froud or something. So like a lot of the definitive imagery that came out in the latter half of the 20th century around Lord of the Rings had already existed by these guys, and then they started their designs. So if this design team went back to reference their original illustrations in some way, then it would have that same look and feel. I'm just kind of talking out loud, but you also do have Sauron's crown looks the exact same.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is it's like what is like, yeah, oh, BC Lions. Hey, West Vancouver, BC, go B Lions. Yes, let's go.
Big up to USA. BC Lions.
Big up to the BC Lions. We had a win last week. Nathan O'Rourke is back. Not O'Rourke, just Nathan Rourke. Anyway,
Nathan Rourke, good Canadian name.
Yeah.
Dad's name's Gavin.
Gavin Rourke. I don't think that's right, but it certainly seems like it is. Yeah, like I will say, so, you know, to me, like I am entertained enough and am enjoying what's going on enough that I can separate like while I'm watching. But definitely when the episodes end, there was at least in both episodes, they ended on these like,
yeah,
what were supposed to be kind of like huge, like, uh-oh. But it really felt like the end was like two scenes before. Like when Jesus Sauron arises from the flames.
Yeah. There's a lot of Jesus in these two episodes.
Very, very. But like, you know, I'm like, well, that's the end. And then it kept going for like 5 more minutes. And like, that was like, but again, I'm going to say all that aside, like, I don't know, like I like being in this space. This to me feels like something that is well made, well constructed, well organized. They've just it's very clear they've spent billions of dollars on it. The effects are spectacular. This isn't like, except the dog. The dog was the only thing that was like, I'm like, you got these like butterflies like you had like Venom, like, you know, the symbiote crawling around and it looks pretty dang good. And then all of a sudden this dog looks like garbage. But
yeah, bad dog.
But when everything ends is when like I go like, yeah, but where are we going? What are we doing? Like what is the what of this series? What is this about?
I was gonna back up your point that it really did feel like episode 2 had like 4 distinct endings. Like you can feel an ending. TV especially is very structurally, you can feel the ending in your heart. And they were like, no, oh, it's not that one. Oh, it's not that one. It was very strange. But yeah, like we also, it strikes me that we did get 2 different kinds and eras of Jesus. We got like old candle Jesus from like the 40s with the pristine blue robes and all the glowing and flowing and the long hair, and we got like post Jesus Christ Superstar Jesus with like rough hewn robes and like the scraggly beard would have suited Jesus best, you know, like that kind of thing. It's cool.
Should you want to know? Don't you mind about the future? Don't you try to see? No, don't you try to look ahead. There we go. We got there. Save tomorrow for tomorrow.
What's the buzz? Tell me
Yeah.
what's happening. I mean,
And
like
think about it.
they really
was-
took pains to hide the Christian undertones of the series in the first
But
movie.
not
Like,
yet.
this
But
TV
not
series
in
is-
this. Like him coming down with arms like this, I was like, that's hitting it on the head a little too hard.
Bow before the hem of my garment, and they're fighting Satan. Clearly, like it's all good for them. The
Yeah.
World War I parable is lost. Let's go.
I will say one thing I do appreciate about this season a lot, and the reason why I think like I'm very into it is because last season was very like character building, probably almost too much. So this show to me, like last season, was like an 8 out of 10, maybe 7.5 out of 10, and they did a ton of like character work, almost to the point where I was like, I get it, like I know this person is, but now they're definitely like, this person's locked in. It's not like a lot of other shows like House of the Dragon, like any other show that gets in even like Loki season 2 introduced new characters. But there isn't like, you know how more sometimes shows are like it's season 2, we got to introduce 5 new worlds or whatever.
We don't know who's under those Mandalorian masks. By the way, like those
Right, that's
those
the same
folks
thing.
rode up on screen, and like my wife joined me for a rare co-watch. She was like, "It's Mandalorians." I was like, "Oh, honey, I love you so much."
I love you so much, but it's
Perfect,
not.
perfect
Anyway,
call.
it's great.
No,
It's
she.
good.
I mean, she was being funny. She was doing a bit, but
I love it.
oh
Good
wait,
bit.
the House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones comparison, right? All of that money that they're spending on Game of Thrones as a comparison for the whole series, and still, like I've been to a bunch of those places now. Like you go to the average cruise to a port city in Croatia, you will see like King's Landing and stuff, right? Amazon's spending all that money, and I'm definitely never been to any of those places. Like they're building junk from the ground up and not reskinning anything that already exists.
No, and it's like it's on this. Like here's the thing, like, and I think this has been a critique sometimes of the Marvel shows is that, you know, they have like this is and which they've been a lot better about. Like they're now like officially like punting things a lot. You know, hey, this is not ready to come out, so we're not going to release it. Whereas before it was like, well, we've set this date, and you know, Bob Iger wants us to feed the Disney Plus machine, so we gotta feed this thing so it can eat. But Amazon is very much being like, look, there was almost 2 years in between seasons here, and it shows. They've taken a lot of time and effort to make this incredibly clean and sleek and yeah, like I part of me is like they're definitely in New Zealand for some of it because I know they were during the shooting, but they're also like definitely in like England or Northern Ireland or something because Academy Award nominee Kieran Hines from a famous Irish actor, he was the kind of evil guy who talked to the lady who formed herself from butterflies. Was he in brown?
Yeah.
Was he in brownface? It kind of seemed like he was, right?
They were really on the whole, like yeah, man, what is the deal? Tinker Tailor Soldier, why are you that close to appropriation, buddy?
Like I had to look, I was looking at his skin, I was like, he's definitely like, it's definitely not brown face, and he's not talking like it, but we're definitely like adjacent, like we're definitely like in the ballpark of it.
His ethnic beard goes up to here, and then his ethnic eye makeup is here, and then his ethnic eyebrows are here, and the ethnic wig is here. So there's no actual brown face, just brown features.
And look, here's the thing.
It's brown feature. He's in brown feature.
Here's the thing. For all I know, Kieran Hines is like, you know, is like my wife, is like second generation Greek or something. I don't know. But like, you know, I was very surprised. I'm like, I know that actor. And then I was like, oh, that's Kieran Hines. Maybe they were in Northern Ireland because that's where they shoot most. That's where, it's not where King's Landing is, but I know that's where I think that's where where Matt Smith's, whatever, Stormborn or wherever they are. I think that's Northern Ireland.
Stormhorn.
Whatever.
I don't know.
Stormborn.
It's it says something larger about too, like the media landscape, where this thing doesn't have to work. Like they can.
That's a good point.
This whole thing, the media giants in this landscape are companies that the entertainment portion is secondary to what the actual moneymaker is, including Disney. That's a resort lifestyle theme park empire that uses that money to feed an entertainment empire that provides IP that designs the resort lifestyle thing. Like
it's a loop. It's just they've closed the loop. They are literally we are years away from Disney having its own currency that they are themselves generating, and
you don't remember Disney dollars, baby?
Yeah, Disney dollars. That was whack. I'm talking
I'm just saying.
I'm talking full bills and denominations and whatnot. I had a point I wanted. Oh, this. Yeah. So the way I'm thinking about this and the way we're talking about this is much different than I thought we were going to talk about. I thought you were going to be into this, but it's fine. It reminds me a lot of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, in that here is something that we don't need. We 100% don't need this. We know why we're getting it, because Prime needed IP and they wanted IP and they bought this thing and they made a show out of it. But somehow I still enjoyed it. And I remember reading a couple reviews on Letterboxd of some friends of mine who, like me, enjoyed Indiana Jones, but it was I think I gave it 3.5 stars, and a buddy of mine gave it 3.5 stars. He's like, I would give it 5 because I loved it, but the thing that makes me give it less is I know exactly why we got this, and it kind of makes it icky.
It's not. As long as you never close a loop definitively, then audience's satisfaction is never at stake, and their satisfaction with what you've delivered and the general arc of the whole thing will never factor into one single. I don't know if I'm explaining this properly, but
No.
it's fine. But as long as they don't make that last movie, there's not a last movie. It's just kind of dangling. It's Indiana Jones. It's not.
Well, I think clearly,
fell apart at the end.
That's a whole other thing. I mean, they clearly were trying to set Phoebe Waller-Bridge up as a way to move the franchise forward, which I think that'd be great. I'd love to watch that, but
But it definitively isn't Indiana Jones. You can't even call it
100%.
Indiana Jones anymore. So I think let's see her do the whole thing from whole cloth. I don't know. It's you know what? I'm starting to think that the media landscape is a little messed up. But I do want to say this. This sort of point, the larger point I was trying to make, it's really the only kind of perspective of value I can bring to any of it, because like you, broadly satisfied, entertained, enjoying the world, but it did evoke some cynicism in me.
Yeah, and just talking to you has done it to me as well, but I really enjoyed it.
I've infected you with my black heart.
You are. Well, I'm dead inside, so that makes sense.
Oh.
But safe to say, do you... So, Agatha All Along doesn't start for another... not next week, but the following week. Are you going to want to keep talk about this show?
Sure, because it's something. Because if it's not that, it's you and me Thursday evening going, I don't know, do we pick which Avenger we want to date?
Rebel Moon Director's Cut Part 2?
Yeah, please.
Kill me. Is this Star Trek or Star Wars?
It's just Star Trek, I think.
It's very much Star Trek, yeah.
I'll say because...
Pointy ears.
Right. There was a moment, and again, my wife was watching, and she's not watched any of it with me. So she's just come into the middle of season 2, episode 2. And she the middle of Middle Earth. And she goes, this is a soap opera.
Yep.
And it was a really soap operatic element to the scene we were watching. And I was like, oh yeah, they've injected this feeling into this to sustain more story. It is, and in a way that I think Star Trek used to, because of its origins in television. So I think it's very much Star Trek.
I think it's very much Star Trek, just because there's a lot of Guga and whatnot. It's very, I don't think like Star Wars obviously has plenty of Guga, but they don't love to like revel in it like Star Trek does. Star Trek loves to talk about like, we're on Glip-Glorp and it's Rathnors and, Blankety Blarks, and we don't use the thermonuclear whip-whap, we're never going to get out of here,
I think definitively that, like, Star Wars has Guga that you just say, oh, they've got Guga. Star Trek, you have to see how the goo connects to the Ga.
That's perfect. Perfect. All right, who's your big winner, if you have any, for this show?
The Tolkien estate. Whoever's drawing off of that trust in perpetuity, they're like, Alex and Kenny, I don't care if you like the flavor of the paste. They were going to keep making it.
I'm going to take my billions of dollars that Amazon gave me to buy the appendices of this big book so I can go to Mars. I will say, I'm just going to talk about, I don't know. The actress, her name's like Marfid something. The woman who plays Galadriel, I just think she's great. I think it's a great casting choice. I think if she's supposed to be like young Kate Blanchett, you're frozen and the face is incredible. There you go. Now you're back. You froze like this. It's pretty solid.
I can see it on the stream now.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's tremendous.
All right, big loser. I don't know if we can say that Sam Wilson Shrimping Boat is the big loser for this, because it's like, where are we? Like, we don't even know, but I don't know.
There's plenty of water.
There's
like, just
plenty of water. Good God, there's so much. There's a whole like water place that we're going to go to. Forget what it's called, the like land of water that we went to in season 1 that we're going to go to in the next episode, I believe.
I'm just gonna say this: the longer we go without seeing another appearance of Sam Wilson's fishing boat, I'm gonna wonder if maybe we're the losers.
Well, I think we definitely are.
I don't want to go down that path too far, but
T minus, we're like what 3-5 months away from Valentine's Day, which I'm hoping is going to be a real lovely day for us when we're seeing Captain America: Brave New World in the movie theater, and we get to see that shrimping boat show up, and we can feel vindicated and really, really feel the love on Valentine's Day from Kevin Feige.
I'm going to talk to the folks at Fan Controlled Sports and Entertainment Weaponry Systems and see if they'll rent us out a whole movie theater so we can just see it.
And just scream from the hilltops when that happens. Just like absolutely lose our minds.
Clutch each other like young people.
Lovers do. Do we have another ad read from Steve Winwood's Ministries?
We do, in fact, have another Steve Winwood, Higher Love Ministries. The world's probably 4th or 5th greatest rock singer has turned away from a life of drugs and anonymous lovemaking to help you down a path of redemption. Through He Who Has Room for All, he was the lead singer of Blind Faith, but now it's not like a bit or whatever. He'll get you back. He'll get you back in the high life again, because what's higher than heaven? The sun? Get real. Think about it. There must be higher love with the Steve Winwood Higher Love Ministries.
Bring me a higher love. I love it. You know what time it is now, though?
Oh, it's my favorite time of the weekend, baby.
All right, you ready?
By the way, we haven't said it in a while. He made that song that you all love so much by himself.
By myself on my phone with Guitar Band, Guitar Hero, Guitar Band, Guitar, whatever that thing. No, not what I'm talking about on your phone. It looks like a guitar.
The Guitar Man.
Anyway, ready for it's my game. Here we go. Last weekend, my family went camping at Leo Carrillo Beach in Malibu, and we went with another family that has 4 kids. So with my children, that made 5 kids total. Have you heard... Now, Alex, have you heard of the game Cards Against Humanity?
Indeed, I have.
Did you know that there is a kids version called Kids Against Maturity?
No, but that's amazing.
Yeah, there is, and it's full of poop and pee jokes, with the best card that I saw being Santa's Big Fat Sack. That was an answer. It was fantastic. Anyway...
Goodness me.
My wife and I were starting to wake up in our tent early in the morning on Sunday, and I don't know, maybe 8 a.m., we could hear that the kids were all playing what we thought was Kids Against Maturity until we heard one kid say, My balls on your face. This probably made me get out of the tent and tell them to stop playing the adult version of Cards Against Humanity, to which they responded, we couldn't find the kids game. To which I wondered, what did you think was going to happen there with that statement? Did you think I would have said, oh, well, in that case, carry on?
Continue.
Anywho, with this different version of Cards Against Humanity, it got me wondering if there were other versions of the game. And in fact, there is a nerd bundle of Cards Against Humanity, which leads us, finally, to the new game, Which Cards Against Humanity? Question mark. The game is simple. I'm going to read a game card. This is an answer card, not like one of the question setups, one of the answers. And you have to tell me if this is an actual card from the nerd bundle of Cards Against Humanity. All right, you ready?
Okay.
Number 1, 3 boobs.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yoshi's huge egg-laying cloaca.
This is the funniest thing we've ever done on the show.
You're welcome. We have to get this bundle and play this live. But go ahead.
Yes, that's
Yes, it is. All right, you ready? Number 3, you ready?
Yes.
Leia knew.
Yes.
No, it's not. All right, you ready?
Okay, yeah, let's do it. I don't know that I'm ready, but let's do it.
All right, number 4. A hit new fantasy show called Penis Man.
No.
Yes, that is one.
Okay, all right.
All right, number
fair
5.
enough. Okay.
I mean, she says that she always knew in Return of the Jedi, so that means she knew in A New Hope. Is that a card? Is that a card?
No.
No, it's not. Number 6, you ready?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Come on, man. I mean, dude, because let's be real, you're probably a dude if you bought this. She remembers her mom, who she knew all of 10 seconds. She knew, man. She knew, dude.
No.
Yes or no? No, it's not. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Hot dog, the game you can eat, but only once. What do you think?
Yes.
It is, yes. All right, you ready?
This is great. Yeah.
All right. Number 8. A 1-star Uber driver named Wife of Tarantula.
Yes.
Yes. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Number 9. You know I'm talking about the fact that Leia willingly kissed her brother, right? And then used her brother to play hard to get with Han, right? Like, she did that. You can't just say that deep down you always knew and then almost make out with him on Hoth. What do you think this is, House of the Thrones or whatever that thing is? I don't know. They just pay me to write, not to do research.
No, that's not in this set.
No, it's not. Ready for number 10? This is the last one.
Oh my god. Okay, yes.
Eating up whatever slop Marvel throws out there.
Yes, that's in the set.
Yes, it is. And that was Which Cards Against Humanity? Love it.
Dude,
fantastic.
My stomach hurts. That was.
You're welcome. It's available at Target. We definitely have to get it and play it live on the show. We should do it.
Katie Rose has a red card. We don't. I'm gonna buy a set. Oh my god.
LFG.
I need to lay down.
LFG. Before you lay down, though, it'd be great to lay down if you pulled up your iPad and logged on to Hoopla Digital, put in your library card, and you can read digital comics. Do you have a digital comic recommendation for the folks?
I do. It's pretty wackadoodle, but
I love wackadoodle.
Daredevil and Elektra by Chip
Ooh.
Zdarsky. It's a little hard to track because Volume 1 and Volume 3 are considered part of Daredevil versus Elektra, but Volume 2 is considered part of Daredevil. So you just kind of have to be aware of which issues you're tracking. But it takes this very street level hero into some pretty big cosmic wackadoodle stuff. But it's a fun read. Chip Zdarsky always brings it. So yeah, Daredevil versus Elektra, Daredevil and Elektra. I can't remember.
I love Wackadoodle. I have two recommendations. First of all, because I just saw this when I went to Hoopla, is I had mentioned in the past about how the graphic novel adaptations of Dune by Frank Herbert's son are excellent. And they finally have the third book, which is basically like the third portion of the first book. So now you can, if you read the graphic novels, you basically have all three of them. You have all of Dune, which is great. But what I was initially going to recommend was I watched a video this week on New Rockstars that Eric Voss did about an idea he had that what Marvel could do with Blade, because Marvel's having a hard time getting the movie Blade off the ground, especially since there is a Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan movie about black vampires in the city of New Orleans, which is the rumor as to where all previous iterations of Blade were supposed to take place. So he had the idea of calling it Blade Midnight Sun. And so I love this idea of the Midnight Suns. If you don't know who the Midnight Suns are, they're kind of like the people who fight like ghosts and vampires. It's been a lot of different iterations. It usually has some form of Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, what's her face, Bloodstone. But there's on Hoopla, the only thing that's in there right now is called Spirits of Vengeance, Rise of the Midnight Suns. It's an entire run of Ghost Rider, but it's like him getting Morbius is in it, the Night Stalkers, the Darkhold Redeemers, which I think are going to be in Agatha all along. So just like, if you like, I know you don't, but if you like spooky like me, it's like there is a whole spooky wing. Oh yeah, Man-Thing has been in Midnight Suns. And
What's the series called?
It's called Spirits of Vengeance. It's on Hoopla. If you just type in Midnight Suns, but not like Suns like they're like SONs, not S, like the recent Marvel game that came out, they called it Midnight Sun, because I guess like there's already some game called Midnight Sun, so they couldn't get the rights to it. But I think just do this for the Blade movie as well. Just, you've got Blade, you've got Moon Knight, you've got Man-Thing, you've got Werewolf by Night. You introduce Dane Whitman as the Black Knight. Just do it. Like, I think that's an awesome, easy idea. Like, I know you don't have to introduce people like Thunderbolts. Everyone's there. You don't got to bring in anybody new. Just do it. Easy.
Gory horror action. I'm into it. Let's do it.
Easy peasy.
I'll sit there, with my eyes shut tight, crying.
Just listening along to blood-curdling screams. Alex, do we have one more read from Steve Winwood's Ministries?
The Steve Winwood Higher Love Ministries. They want to say that the road to favor with he who sits above all is often unlikely. Such is the same for Steve Winwood of the Higher Love Ministries. In the green room of a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame show in late 2002, Reverend Stephen was attempting to choke the life from Eric Clapton over a stolen drug stash from 1972. Clapton cried out, "Jesus Christ, man!" And Steve Winwood, Pastor Stephen, said, "Oh yeah." And there you go. Think about it. There must be higher love. The Steve Winwood Higher Love Ministries says
fantastic. So. I think that's so fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve Winwood. No, thanks, Steve Winwood. Alex, what did your dogs think of the first two episodes of Rings of Power?
Nothing really clicked for anybody, but Josephine, who's a dog friend of ours, really responded to some of the horses that were on screen. Nothing for the big dog, but the horses that were on screen really got Josephine going.
Yeah, after we got that like 20-minute kind of replay of Sauron, which I appreciated. Like, we'd just be like, hey, we made this guy Sauron, and we're showing you how he is, which I was here for. We went right to horses. We had Galadriel and Elrond, like horseback riding. We got the horses in the back. Horse
is not a bag. A horse is not a bag, and a
And the
horse is not a bag.
I forgot that we did that. Long-time listeners of the show know that the way we sing it is that the horse is a bag. That's really
A horse is not a bag.
that's really what
bag.
that's what Little Nas X is talking about. I don't know if I can recover from that. Alex, where can the folks find you?
Probably in a hospital now after this
Yeah,
show.
right.
My gosh,
Truly.
They can find me staying out of the heat.
Oh my God.
Duke_midnight on Threads, on Instagram, and wherever major magazines are sold.
I love everything you just said. You can find me at Kenny G. Stevenson on Twitch, TikTok, Kenny G. Donut King on Instagram. In 3 weeks from today at the Impro Theater, Process is back. Process will be back the week before, but I will not be in that show. I'm in the show on the 27th. Again, this is a fully improvised production of a play. We do auditions, we do table read, we do rehearsals, and then we do the last act. We did it a couple of weeks ago at the Elysian Theater. It went awesome. Really great house. I absolutely love this show. Come check it out if you're in LA. It's at the Impro Theater.
And by the way, I'll say if you live in Los Angeles or you're visiting Los Angeles, Impro is legit doing incredible work. Kenny is legit doing incredible work. The two together, unbelievable. Make it happen.
We get together, we'll be causing a commotion. We've been kicked off the platform. The amount of songs we've sang and the stuff we've been talking about, we might as well get off. Oh gosh. All right, we'll be back next week to talk, I guess, about Rings of Power. We'll see.
You're welcome, Jeffy B.
You're welcome, big old Bezos. Take our money and ride it all the way to Jupiter. All right, bye.